I'm gonna try habit stacking, making the videos while reading with y'all. Let's get it. As Paracelsus surveyed the political scene early in his career, he noticed the following phenomenon. Every Athenian, Athenian, Athenian political he be- figure believed he was rational, had realistic goals and plans on how to get them. They all worked hard for their political factions and tried to increase their power. They led Athenians' armies into battle, often came out ahead. They strove to expand the empire and bring in more money. And when their political maneuvering suddenly backfired or the wars turned out badly, they had excellent reasons for why this happened. They would always blame the opposition or, if need be, the gods. And yet, if all these men were so if all these men were so rational, why did their policies add up to so much chaos and self-destruction? Why was Athens such a mess and the democracy itself so fragile? Why was there so much corruption and turbulence? The answer was simple. His fellow Athenians were not rational at all, merely selfish and screwed. What guided their decisions was their base emotions, hunger for power, attention, and money. And for those purposes, they could be very tactical and clever, but none of their maneuvers led to anything that lasted or served the overall interest of the democracy. What consumed Paracelsus as a thinker and a public figure was how to get out of the trap, how to be truly rational in an arena dominated by emotions. The solution he came up with was unique in history and devastatingly powerful in its results. It should be it should serve as an ideal in its conception. The human mind has to worship something, has to have its attention directed to something, its values above all else. For most people, it's their ego. For some, it's their family. For others, it's a clan or a god or a nation. For Paracelsus, it would be nous, the ancient Greek word for mind or intelligence. Nous is a force that permeates the universe, that permeates, permeates, permeates the universe, creating meaning and order. The human mind is naturally attracted to this order. This is the source of our intelligence. For Paracelsus, the nous that he worshipped was embodied in the figure of the goddess Athena. Athena was literally born from the head of Zeus, her name itself reflecting this is a combination of God, Theos, and mind, Nous, but Athena came to represent a very particular form of Nous, eminently practical feminine and earthly. She is the voice that comes to heroes in time of need, instilling in them a calm spirit, orienting their mind, orienting, orienting, orienting their mind towards the perfect idea for victory and success, then giving them the energy to achieve this. To be visited by Athena was the highest blessing of them all, and it was her spirit that guided great generals and the best artists, inventors, and tradesmen under her influence. I fuck with Athena. Man or woman, man or woman could see the world with a perfect clarity and hit upon the actions that was just right at the moment. For Athena, her spirit was invoked to unify the city, make it prosperous and productive. In essence, Athena stood for rationality, the greatest gift of gods to mortals, for it alone could make humans act with divine wisdom. To cultivate his inner Athena, Perseus first had to find a way to master his emotions. Emotions turn us inward, away from nous, away from reality. We dwell on our anger, our our insecurities. If we look at the world and try to solve problems, we see things through the lens of these emotions. They cloud our vision. Perseus trained himself to never react in the moment, to never make a decision while under the influence of a strong emotion. Instead, he analyzed his feelings. Usually, when he looked closely at his insecurities or his anger, he saw that they were not really justified, and they lost their significant under scrutiny. Sometimes he had to physically get away from the heated assembly and retire to his house retire to his house, where he remained alone for days on end, calming himself down slowly, and voice of Athens would come to him. He decided to have all of the political decisions on one thing: what actually served the greater good of Athens. His goal was to unify the citizens the citizenry through genuine love of democracy and belief in the superiority superiority of the Athens the superiority of the Athens way. Having as such a standard helped him avoid the ego trap. It impelled him to work to increase the participation in power of the lower and middle classes, even though such a strategy could easily turn against him. It inspired him to limit wars, even though this meant less personal glory for him. And finally, it led to his greatest decisions of all, the public works project that transformed Athens. To help himself in this deliberative process, he opened his mind to so many ideas and options as possible, even to those of his opponents. He imagined all of the possible consequences of of a strategy before committing to it. He imagined all the possibilities and consequences of a strategy before he committed to it. With a calm spirit and an open mind, he hit upon policies that sparked one of their true golden ages in history. One man was able to infect an entire city with his rational spirit. What happened to Athens after he departed from the scene speaks for itself. The Sicilian expedition represented everything he had always opposed itself that he had always opposed, a decision secretly motivated by the desire to grab more land, blinded to its potential consequences. Understand, like everyone, you think you are rational, but you are not. Rationality is not a power you are born with, but one you acquire through training and practice. Your voice of Athens simply stands for a higher power that exists within your right now, a potential you have perhaps felt in a moment of calmness and focus, the perfect idea coming to you after much thinking are not connected, are not connected to this higher power. And it's present because your mind is weighed down with the emotions. Like Paracelsus in his assembly, you are infected by all of these drama and the other churn up. You are continuously reacting to what people give you, experiencing waves of excitement, insecurity, and anxiety that makes you hard to focus. Your attention is pulled away, and that and without what your attention is pulled this way and that and without the rational standard to guide your decisions. You never quite teach the goals that you set. At any moment, this can change with the simple decision to cultivate your inner Athena. Rationality is then what you will value the most, and which will serve you as your guide. Your first task is to look at those emotions that are continuously infecting your ideas and decisions. Learn to question yourself. Why this anger, resentment? Where does this where does this incident incident need for attention come from? Under such scrutiny, your emotions will lose their hold on you. You will begin to think yourself instead of reacting to what others give you. Emotions tend to narrow the mind, making us focus on one or two ideas that satisfy your immediate desire for power or attention, ideas that usually backfire. Now, with a calm spirit, you can entertain a wide range of options and solutions. You will deliberate you will deliberate longer before acting. You will deliberate longer before acting and reassess your strategies. The voice will become clearer and clearer. When people besiege, when people endless dramas and petty emotions, you will resent the distraction and apply your rationality to think past them, like an athlete emotionally getting stronger through training. Your mind will become flexible and resilient, clear and calm. You will see answers and creative solutions that no one else envisioned. The raw youth, Fondor Disavolovsky. It's just as though one's second self were standing beside one. One is sensible and rational oneself, but the other self is impelled to do something. perfectly senseless, and sometimes very funny. And suddenly you notice that you are longing to do that amusing thing. Goodness knows why. That is, you want to, you want to, as it as it were against your will, through your fight against it with your might. You want to. It's just as though one's second self were standing beside one. One is sensible and rational. One is sensible and rational oneself, but the other one, the other oneself is impelled to do something perfectly senseless and sometimes very funny. And suddenly you notice that you are longing to do that amusing thing. Goodness knows why, that is, you want to, as it were you, as it were against your will, though you fight against it with all of your might. You want to.